learnings about marketing and how you plan and how you make some trade-offs and move your marketing program forward at your association. And thank you for warming up the chat. I've seen everybody following our tradition, which is let me know where you're dialing in from. So I see Milwaukee, Arizona, Ottawa, Canada, we're international. Delaware, we're international. Just kidding. I know Delaware's a state. Springfield, Illinois. I grew up near Springfield, Illinois. I actually worked one summer in Springfield, Illinois. I was doing temp work, so I typed a lot. I was a good typist back then. Minnesota, Chicago, Alexandria, Massachusetts, Gainesville, Florida. We always have somebody from Gainesville, Florida. We are really rolling in. We got over 160 people in class today. And while you're all rolling in, I'm going to let you know that we are, like always, broadcasting a part of today's class live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. For you people that are joining us in through our social channels, welcome. We're going to give you a taste of what the Digital Marketing Certificate course is, the Association Digital Marketing Certificate course. And you can actually enroll now. So if you follow the link that is there with our social posts, you'll be able to learn a little bit more about what this class teaches you and enroll for our summer semester, which starts July 8th. Columbus, Ohio. Hello, Columbus, Ohio. Brooklyn. Somebody's asking about rent in Brooklyn. I'll give you a hint. It's really expensive. It's incredible. It's incredibly insane. It's more than Columbus, Ohio. It is our second to last section, and I'm kind of happy for you all that you're nearing the end. I'm sad that I won't be joining you very much, or I won't be seeing you as much after the end of next week. I also, by the way, set up this slide so I could sing into the microphone just like that. How about that? All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you to our founding sponsors, which are Feather, which can help your association execute paid online media. We've talked about the need to diversify out of email. Thanks to Association Analytics, which pulls together all the data across your association, marketing, AMS, and more, and puts it together in dashboards that it makes accessible for your board, for your staff, and for you. Thanks to Open Water. They are the premier virtual event platform for associations. You may have seen them as part of many of the ASAE partnerships that they have. Thanks to PropFuel. You remember Dave Will came and talked to us about conversational marketing. PropFuel is the technology that makes conversational marketing possible. And thanks to my company, Ricochet, we help you with your strategy and tactics when you want to advance your association marketing practices. And don't forget everybody that's here in the course today. Hi from South Carolina. Hi from New Mexico. Everybody that's here in the course today, please share this course with your colleagues. Let them know that they can sign up for our class starting June 8th. And if they do, and if they use this referral code, you get $50 from us, and they get $50 off of the class enrollment. They just need to use that referral code when they go to associationmarketingacademy.com. All right, and I'm begging you guys, please rate the class. You're going to get an email after the class. Please give me a rating and give me some comments telling me how I can improve. With your feedback, I'm going to make that next semester even better. Today's class, super exciting. We are not going to be going through channels or marketing. We're not going to be writing email copy. We're not going to be debating dashboards. We are going super high level. We're going to talk about annual planning, digital marketing strategy, digital experience strategy, resource management, and then we have, as always, a special guest. Are you ready? And I would like to see in the chat, are you ready? It is yes or no. Yes, 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 yes. We are ready to talk about annual planning. Let's get started with annual planning. And I have a special surprise for you, something that we have not done for a few classes. It is time for, nope, actually, that's a big buildup. It's time for that on the next slide. We're going to first start about for our chat, we're going to first chat about the difference between an annual plan and a strategic plan. And I'm going to warn you guys today, we are going to be talking about like 6 different frameworks, and they all kind of overlap in a really uncomfortable way. Like they're not clear boundaries between the differences but I'm going to try and give you a little sense of how they at least work together. And the first thing I'm going to try to do is explain the difference between an annual plan and a strategic plan. So here's how I think of it. Annual plans, you do them, it's with a 1-year time horizon. You do them every year. It's kind of obvious, right? The old rule for strategic plans was a 5-year time horizon. I did a little Googling this morning just to see if people were still following that rule. And I saw like advice from McKinsey Consulting that said, don't do 5 years, do 3 years. And actually, the world's changing so much right now. Maybe you want to do a 1-year strategic plan. And I thought, okay, well, if you do a 1-year strategic plan, that's just an annual plan. But so these old-fashioned big time horizon strategic plans, I think that time's getting compressed. And maybe we're seeing like the beginning of annual plans and strategic plans coming together. But this is the traditional definition: 1 year versus 5 years, a tactical plan versus kind of big investments and big divestments, like the big stuff, big financial stuff. Campaigns, like as marketers in our annual plans, we're doing campaign planning. And in the end, on our annual plan, we have specific metrics that we're talking about. Like we might even talk about page visits, web page visits. That would never make it into your strategic plan. You're talking about, for an association, broad things like market share, the percentage of the market that is a member, membership count, dues revenue, like the big financial numbers are the differences there. That's what I call the big broad metrics. Okay, annual plans, we do annually. Strategic plans, we do less than annually in the past, and we're tackling the big issues. I'm going to talk to you about both today. So keep in mind that these are a little different. Okay, now we're going to do the thing that I'm so excited about that we haven't done for a while. We are going to have a quiz. All right, so Tom, why don't you throw up the quiz? Everybody reach into your computers and tell me how you would rate your marketing plan. I almost said annual plan. Tell me how you would rate your marketing plan. I appreciate one person. Oh, there's two. Two people said, excellent, it's a work of art. I see the numbers coming in. Look, guys, you know that I expect that if you're in class today, I want you participating in this poll. And I don't talk. All right, we crossed 150. So I know most of you are leaning in here. We have over 200 students in class today. That's great. So I had no expectations for this, except that I thought, I don't have time to plan would be pretty high on the scoreboard. And it's a tie for second. So Daryl, I see you say we don't have a plan. I get it. So in fact, when I started at the American Bar Association, we didn't have plans either. We didn't have annual plans. And that organization had something like a $70 million dues revenue product. They had over 400,000 members, and they didn't have annual plans. Tom, we can go ahead. I'm going to stop the sharing there. So that's great news. Thank you, everybody. So don't feel bad if you don't have an annual plan, but I'm going to be or a marketing plan. I'm going to be talking to you today about the elements that you might put into one. And you can do this plan. You can do plans in almost no time. You can do it in a couple of days. All right. Generally, I also want you to understand the bar is really low when we talk about annual planning. My experience with annual plans, especially in the association industry, is that it's a total mess. So the plans were kind of mediocre. A lot of people were just trying to crank it through. You've got a lot of work to do. Again, we're talking about annual plans. A lot of work to do. It's on the task list. Like you just usually get out of your annual conference. You have a little period that's supposed to be low. You're supposed to do annual planning then for the next year. You're worn out. So you're just like, you're calling it in. And it didn't matter because those mediocre plans did nothing when we got hit by COVID. So we have these plans that were completely turned upside down and completely irrelevant, light them on fire and throw them in the trash. And then now, I think it's even worse because the world's been turned upside down and there's a lot of pressure for you as marketers or you even as leaders in your organization to get everything back to normal. So people want to reach back in like 3 years ago and pull out these old plans and say, start here. I see somebody talking about our plan is fly by the seat of our pants. So I think that that a better way to position that is we're highly responsive to the market. And so we like to edit and make updates just as we're seeing response from customers and members. It's all about positioning. All right. So I'm going to tell you now, when I told you people want to pull those old plans out from 3 years ago and get you back to normal, don't do it. Do not repeat your old plans. Winston Churchill, here we go. Winston Churchill said, never let a good crisis go to waste. What he meant was that organizations and countries, in his case, don't have an appetite for big leaps of change. And you can never drive forward an agenda in a meaningful way without, or maybe never is not entirely accurate, but you can rarely drive big agenda changes unless there's a crisis, unless there's some kind of incredible turmoil that makes everybody open to that change. And that's exactly what we had with COVID. And I see Anna. So Anna, good job, Anna. You actually put the time into your work of art 2020 plan. And then, of course, 2020 plans out the window. And Jill saying, sorry for you, Anna. But I also, Anna, want to remind you, don't take that 2020 plan and try and make that your 2022 plan. Take that 2020 plan and find the pieces that you didn't put in there because you felt like your organization wasn't able to make the change. And now is the time to drive that change. This is your moment. There will not be a normal. We were not going back to the old normal. There will be a new normal. Suddenly, boards are engaged on the digital experience and digital marketing in a way that they never were before. These boards didn't even understand digital until they were forced into it through 2020 and 2021. Seize the moment. And also, you're working with staff. So it's not just you that's a digital expert, but now some of your staff picked up big, important digital skills. And they also picked up an appreciation for the work that you're doing. And they understand better the nuances. So they're going to be more supportive of changes that you're driving. And then finally, I have found that larger digital investments are on the table. So you may have made some kind of triage investments in 2020 and 2021 to get yourself through COVID. A great example is probably your virtual event platform. I guarantee you that 75% of the people on this class today made a virtual event platform investment that was significant and that it was not in the plan and was never even in the consideration before. Those types of investments are on the table. And I see Monica just made a comment that says crisis is opportunity. That's exactly right. Exactly right. And I see Maria. Thanks, Maria. I recognize your name. You're a common commenter. I appreciate that. She says, so they're actually on their second virtual event platform. So they're driving through fast evolution. To kind of wrap up some of the conversation about annual plans, there are some elements that I look for in an annual plan. Remember, annual plans tend to be a little bit more tactical than strategic plans. I look for objectives and who can tell me what SMART stands for. And I'm asking because I always screw it up. I always have to Google it when I'm writing out my objectives in my plan. I know I need to include SMART objectives. What do they mean? All right, I see specific, measurable, attainable. Who remembers the R? Who remembers the R? Realistic, that's right. And who remembers the T? I hope somebody remembers it. Timely, I think it's timely. And timely means like within the period, I expect. And so objectives, this is kind of the crib notes. These are the things that you, when you're writing your objective, you kind of put it through this SMART filter to make sure it's reasonable, to make sure that it belongs in there and that you're writing in a way that people can evaluate it sensibly. All right, who can tell me what a KPI is? You should know this one, but we have not talked about it in class. And right there, Isaiah has it right out of the box. Key performance indicators, you got it. All right, so I'm looking for these elements in an annual plan. SMART objectives with KPIs. Performance, I want to know what worked last year, like how you did. Research, maybe you did some research. And here's something that's interesting. We don't do research very often. At the American Bar, what we did was we said, look, at a minimum, when we do our plans, we're going to have like little mini focus groups. So Tom, who used to also work at the American Bar, he did some focus groups as part of his annual planning process. Tom and I haven't even talked about this. I don't know if he remembers it, but we just picked up, or actually he just picked up the phone and called some of our members to talk about the particular areas of business that he was responsible for, to get a little bit of opinion. So we wanted some direct voice of the consumer. That's the VOC. You'll hear that phrase used. Voice of the consumer that got injected into the plan. Learnings, I want to understand what you're going to continue and what you need to stop. So sometimes we have failures. And we talked about having a culture that embraces change and embraces experimentation, and not everything will work. That's okay. We just need in our annual plan to acknowledge what didn't work and say, we're not going to do it again. Promotion plan, you want to talk about your campaigns if you're doing that. And then resources. And we have a whole section devoted to resources later in this presentation. All right. So for those of you that were joining us in the live broadcast, we're going to say goodbye to you now. Just a reminder that you can sign up for the July 8th semester. It begins on Thursday, July 8th at 1 p.m. Just follow the associationmarketingacademy.com link in the